there. Welcome back. I'm Camille.
And I'm Gretchen. We are starting over with a new episode.
Yes, we are.
Starting over. In case you're wondering, well, what is this? What is this? I'm new to the channel. Camille and I have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And in our ripe old age of in the 50 club,
we
realize that, every day we're starting over. And thank goodness we can.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we can. We talk often about starting over in your thoughts.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always starting over with your actions, even though we can. I think more so it's more important to be held accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
Of how you're feeling, what your mood is.
Yes. Yes.
What's the narrative in your head. I think one of the biggest things, Camille, is how do you talk to yourself? How are you, not you personally, I'm just saying in general.
People.
How do we talk to ourselves? And I was thinking about this the other day. I know like when I was going through cancer a couple years ago, I literally talked to myself out loud all the time because it was such a driven thing for me to just not be someone with cancer.
Yeah.
It was so important to me to put myself in a mindset that like, no, I'm not giving into this. I'm not giving into this, And it didn't mean that I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't have cancer. It meant that I wasn't hating the cancer. I wasn't hating my treatments. I was just talking to a friend of mine last night. I told you about him before. He has throat cancer, and he is like, it's inoperable what he's going through. So he has chemo and radiation every day. Every day.
That's heavy.
And it's a lot. And he's, lost a lot of weight. And anyway, his experience with chemo and radiation is completely different than mine, which I think is really important for people to be sensitive.
Yeah.
Just because maybe someone or maybe you went through something and it wasn't as bad doesn't mean that somebody else isn't experiencing it differently.
Yeah.
So I try not to be too Pollyanna, but like, because it lands on people differently, But
Sure.
I was thinking to myself, do I talk the same narrative and pump myself up about other subjects like I did with cancer? If I can be clean of cancer and I take a credit in doing my part and I give all the rest, everything to God, please don't come at me for not doing that. I'm just saying I did my part as far as what he wanted me to do.
Sure.
But I think to myself, like when it comes to money or when it comes to, whatever the subject is, am I given that same attention and fervent desire that I did with cancer? And I'm probably not.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
What do you think the distinction is?
I don't know. I sometimes I'm like, well, did I have more faith in the healing of a deadly disease than I do my bank account or my relationships or, whatever it is? I don't know, because when cancer hit me, I never thought twice about feeling bad for myself or, being afraid. Like it just never, ever came into my thought. Whereas I think there are some subjects where we're like, what about this? What about this? And we kind of do the whole pros and cons that we don't allow the teaching to happen.
Yeah. Well, or we procrastinate it. But here's what I'm hearing. It probably doesn't matter as much to you as something like your health or a physical limitation, right? I mean, that's probably a value system thing. And I think most people, it's like what really mattered to you was this wasn't going to beat you. I mean, it's kind of like people will call it an enemy. They want to fight it. You never did that. You embraced it. You worked through it. You worked through yourself. You didn't ever let it break you, and it wasn't going to ever break you. That's the bottom line. So this to me is a battle with an unseen force, I guess I'll call it. And I know you. Like I know you very well, and I know that you will dig deep, and you have the ability to hold the space no matter what. And I watched you do this with. You just have a composure. You have a strength and a composure. And when you decide and declare, it ain't going to hurt me, it ain't going to hurt me. Like, I know you.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we, we kind of get into things that are not always so easy. I'm not saying cancer. I'm just saying what we think about, Yeah. I know that we all know people that they're quick to manifest, maybe it is finances, maybe it is a good relationship, or maybe it is the dream home, whatever it is.
Yeah.
things don't seem to be a challenge in that realm for them. And I know this is going to sound weird, but you think about the Kardashians. And if you just think about the law of attraction, okay, I don't care about the judgments on them. It doesn't matter, right? It's the law of attraction, what they are attracting. They have attracted a large amount of money for not a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
And I'm not saying they don't earn their money, whatever. I'm just
Manifesting
saying
is manifesting. And,
yeah. And so, but they have become really good. And honestly, from what I've read and talks that I've listened to, people that have a lot of money or people that are reoccurring actors or actresses, they tend to get the jobs because they expect to get them. You know, when you have, like, say, a Jim Carrey, who has been in a lot of movies, and he is a big fan of manifesting. He is talks about it openly and what it has done for him in his life. It would be interesting to know, like, when you have a job that comes up, when you have a role that comes up, what is your role in the manifesting part of it? You know, because I think it just takes a little bit of encouragement to see the fruits come in, and then you believe it, even though what we're always trying to do is believe it before it happens. Don't make the happening your conviction that it works.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like don't be attached to the outcome, but be open to the possibility, right? It's like it's like the outcome may be different than we really expect it to be. So expectations are always like you gotta manage that. But I do think that we can be open to the outcome, and whatever does manifest, whatever does happen, it's almost like, okay, I take that and say, well, that's what I'm manifesting. That's where I'm at. I want to tweak that. I want something to be a little different. I got to tweak myself to manifest something new, right?
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing with any manifestation, whatever you're desiring to do, it's how you feel.
Yes.
If you're so focused on, I was telling Camille, I think I shared maybe with y'all one time, I was so focused one time. I was like, I'm gonna manifest $5,000 this month. And every time I heard the mailman drive up or the mail, I was afraid to go look in my mailbox. Well, there's no way. I mean, I understand now. There's no way I attracted the energy of money because I was dreading the answer was no.
Yeah. Well, you were expecting no.
I was expecting no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I didn't have a relationship with what I wanted.
Yes, that's right.
And I think you're really good about explaining that, Camille, in that people need to, whatever the energy is, whatever the subject is, it doesn't have to be another human, but you have to create a tangible relationship in order to have that expectation to come.
Yeah. And I used to say to people, you can't define it, you can't have it. And what I would mean by that is you have to really be clear on what your intention is, what you're really going after, right? I mean, I think money is interesting because money is always a game to me. I turn it into a game. I think relationships can be like a game, and not like people should play people like a game. But I do think that you could, we can figure out how to, again, throw it out there. This is what I want to manifest, and it can be playful. It can be light. It doesn't have to be heavy. Because again, if there's an expectation, and we're going to be crushed if it doesn't happen that way, like that is not the heavy energy that's kind of getting manifested, right?
Right.
So it's like we're pretending or we're trying to stay. No, the energy is going to be manifested. The energy manifests. The mood manifests. Bottom line. So whatever your results are, you look at the results and say, oh, my mood has created that. And so you got to look at what, now you got to shift yourself and shift your mood.
And that's exactly what we're talking about with starting over, y'all. This isn't rocket science, what we're talking about here. Yeah. Starting over really is at any moment. So if you feel your doubts creeping in and you recognize, I've been there. I know what this is. I don't want to go there. Start over.
Right.
Think another thought. Think of something else. I was kind of given this analogy this morning. I went to the grocery store yesterday, and if you shop at a grocery store you're familiar with, you know what aisle the milk is on. You know where the bread is because you've been there. And honestly, like if you go out of town and you go to a new one, you're like, I don't know where anything is.
That's right.
But when you go to the one that you know where your stuff is, even driving up, I was like, okay, I have a mental list. I know what I need. I know where I'm going to park because I know what aisle I'm going to go down first. And so I've planned it all out. Then when I get there, it's a whole lot easier to shop than like showing up and be like, I got to look on my phone and find a recipe to make dinner, Or sometimes you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot this and I forgot this. It's because we weren't really dialed into, thinking about it.
Yep.
And so being deliberate about what you think about, especially when it comes to manifestation, especially when it comes to details. I was listening to this lady last night that was saying, you have to be specific. You have to be specific about what you want, because the universe goes, you want a new car? Great. I'll give you a new car. It may not be new to you, but you didn't say that. Or you want a new car? Great. Well, oh yeah, the engine's not in it, but you got a new car. You know what I'm saying? Those are like hugely exaggerated, but there's nothing wrong with being specific.
That's right.
About what you want.
That's right. Well, and even in relationships, if you want, I want a man or I want a female that's going to show up this way for me, and I'm going to experience this kind of feeling. You just can't say, and I want it to be Joe, or want it to be, Jennifer. You can want it in a relationship. You want that experience, but you can't necessarily put it on a human being to make that happen. But you can create what you want, and you can say what you want to experience in a relationship.
I know one time, it's been a few years ago, Camille wanted, I think you saw it in a vision. I don't know. I can't remember. You tell me. But she wanted this fancy little sports car.
Oh, yeah.
And
I want a convertible. I wanted a convertible.
A convertible. Right. Yeah. And then it showed up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually was at the dealership for something else. And I'm like, what the? That's something cute. And I did. I manifested it. I actually was a friend of the owner. Well, I'm sorry, the manager. And it was his car, actually. It was his personal car. Right. So I rolled up. I'm like, who's that? What about one of those? And it was his car. He said, well, I'm looking to put it on the market. You want it? I said, I do. So I ended up getting 2 cars, but I got a real good deal.
But you got, the point is you thought about it?
Oh, I did. I really, really wanted it. And so, again, I didn't know how I was going to create it, but I just rolled up on it, and he brought it in there because he was going to put it on the showroom floor because he was going to sell it. So he didn't even have to put it out there. I said, I want it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. And that's just it. I think what Camille is saying, especially when you're talking about, like, don't try to manifest a certain human. Yeah. Be open to what the universe says. Brings you. I think this is the best thing for you. You and I went, it was around that time, we went car shopping on a Saturday. Yeah. We had no intentions of buying anything. That's right. I know all you car people are like, yeah, we can't stand when y'all come in the door. But we did. We went to like 3 or 4 different dealerships, and I found the kind of car that I wanted. That's right. And it took about 3 years, but I wasn't thinking about it. I just knew, like, I'd like to have that type of car, and I wrote it out, and I when I'd see one driving down the road, I'm like, I'll drive you someday. And now I drive it.
And now you drive it.
That's now right. I drive it, but the way it came to me, I never thought of. Like, I didn't try to figure it out.
Exactly. Because we won't know how to. A cute story. I have one of my dear friends, clients, and I got a lot of friends after they become clients, right? But he had this dream. He wanted to be told, I want you. I want you. You're the one. You're everything. I need you. And so he was dating this girl with a little boy, and he was pushing the baby. He was like 3 or 4, and he was pushing him in the stroller thing, in the right. going to shopping. And this little boy looked at him, and he grabbed his hands. He says, I want you. I want you. And so he manifested that with the child. And again, he did marry the woman, but he was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly how it came to me. Because when I was helping him in a manifesting session, I'm like, okay, tell me everything you want to hear. Tell me everything you want to experience. How do you know that how do you know you're going to feel loved? How do you feel loved? Someone's going to literally say to me, they're going to intently grab me and look at me and say, I want you. You're what I want. You're who I want. And he created that with this little boy. And he became his stepdad. Yeah.
I always said, always say, like, surprise and delight me. Can you imagine how surprised and delighted? Because in his mind, he was like, there it is. Yes. And it's in the form of this precious child.
And he was thinking,
and I love his mom anyway. I mean, talk about a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And for him, and he never had any of his own kids. So for this little boy to say that to him, he was just, I think he got emotional and called me. I was just like, oh my gosh, I was crying with him.
That is so, I love, if you pay attention, really, y'all, that's the whole message. If you pay attention to the synchronicities in our life, in our every day, it doesn't have to be you won the fabulous showcase showdown on The Price is Right.
The universe, you want to say, surprise and delight me.
I do, I say that, but I always think, when people say the joy is in the journey, sometimes that's annoying, and you're like, shut up.
I want to get there. Yeah.
But really, like this gentleman with the little boy, that was probably a really fun journey, and what a fun story for him to share and talk about. And even your car, there's many things that Camille just figures out, and I'm like, how fun. Yeah. I always think about the concierge in the sky. Oh, yeah. The universe is like, Camille, you want that? Here, let me follow you around. Yeah. Gretchen, let me follow you around, and it's in front of you.
Yeah.
Just take it. Just take it. There's an exercise that I like to tell people to do where you put your hand right in front of your face and you close your eyes. You don't allow your hand to touch your face, but you know it's there. You feel it. You sense it. It's almost like you just could reach out and touch it. You know it's there. That's how our manifestations are. They're right there, but are we going away from it? Are we going to it? But it never leaves us. You know?
Yeah.
And so when the scriptures talk about, be specific.
Yeah.
Be specific about what you want and ask, but you and I always say, well, like, don't beg and plead. If my kids were like, I'm hungry, but I'm hungry. After a while, you're like, shut up.
Right.
And so I'm sure that God, universe, whoever we want to call it, like when we come as a pleading beggar, that's not what happens. We have created it. It is right there.
Yeah.
Line up with it and then take it.
And what I'm really working on with myself and with like this year, is like when there's a moment where things just feel off or like I'm getting a little frustrated or I'm starting to pause, going, whoa, slow down, stop, pause.
Right.
What's going on? And I don't resist the feeling. I'm like, what am I? Okay, I'll feel that, whatever that is, frustration, anger, I feel other people's energy all the time. So I'm like, is this me? Is it them? And then I'll kind of like release that and I'll start over in that second, start over. And I might do that 5-10 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with starting over.
No.
We know.
No.
That we know.
We need to.
I always like to think too, when you're having these daydreams, these desires, these wants, whatever it is, I kind of grew up in the religions that I was in, that you go before the Lord and you plead and you beg and you hope. This was my understanding.
You humble yourself before.
You hope that you're worthy enough to be blessed with whatever. But now I really understand that it's a fun thing. It's, hey, I have this idea. This is what I want. And the universe is like a dog, like perked ears. What do you want? What do you want? How do you want it? How do you want it? Yeah. When do you want it? How much do you want? What color is it going to be? What's it going to smell like? Who is he? Right? Whatever it is, right? Yeah. Whatever it is, that's where we get to fill in the details. But the part that the universe does is deliver. Yeah. We just have to state what we want and get out of the way.
That's right. And surrender it. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You can't get attached to the outcome of exactly. But again, and then watch for it. I mean, you're almost expecting that something's going to show up. And inevitably, something always shows up. Mm-hmm. I see this all the time in my own life. So I think it's important to kind of just keep, like, just playing with that energy and co-creating with the universe. Right?
Yeah. I was doing this thing I did the other day on my social media, and I was actually posting something for Camille and I'm on YouTube, and I see this artist. I don't see the person, but there's a canvas, and there's all these dots of paint, like blobs, and they take a brush and they just start moving it. And then they move this color and this color. Before you knew it, with a matter of, like, a fork was used to drag certain things, a wad of Q-tips was used, and there was just a Brillo pad was used. They created the most beautiful meadow scene.
Oh, wow.
That, in my mind, in the beginning, I'm like, I have no idea what this is, but it's so exciting. I was so intrigued. I couldn't turn it off. I wanted to see the outcome. I wanted to see it. Yeah. And I thought to myself, if we would just look at our desires that way, we put them out there and we go, okay, now I can't wait to see how this is going to turn out. Yeah. I can't wait. Use all those tools that you want. Use the Brillo pad. Use all that stuff. Yeah. I can't wait to see how this is going to happen.
Yeah. You trust and you expect something to surprise and delight you, because it will. Yeah. That's how the universe wants to work with us. Yeah. I do feel like we have people around us, beings around us, helpers. I've seen them. I've experienced them. And I think once you surrender to we're not alone, that we are loved, that we really are cherished, and you can cherish yourself. I don't think anything wants us to suffer. And I don't think our Creator would want us to suffer at all. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to learn. We're here in life school. But I do believe that we can learn how to master our own force field, our own energy, our own creation, and we can cause things to happen with our intention.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's. I mean, you and I talk about this all the time. When, when you know what you want. Yeah. And what you want is not hurtful to somebody else. It's a pure intent. Yeah. Then it is of God.
Yeah.
And as you know, your children or my children, if they came to me and said, I really want this, Mom, this is something that's really important to me, and I could tell the genuineness in them, I would want them to have it.
Oh, of course.
You know, I would want them to have it, and probably you would do
Anything
anything to
That's
try to
right.
help them get that. You know, and I can only imagine that's how God or the universe is going. I want you to have this.
Yes.
Yes. Remember, I'm following you around.
That's
Turn
right.
around. It's right
right.
here. It's right
That's right.
here. You know, and that's probably that's our lesson. That's our journey. So the joy in the journey is actually letting it unfold.
Yeah.
Watching it unfold, not getting attached to
That's
the
it.
outcome.
Yeah.
But watching how every day something fun happens, and if you'll just go about your day in the beginning and say, I'm looking for something really fun or miraculous today. Today I want to be wowed.
Yeah. Wow me. Yeah.
Show me something.
I always say I need front row parking.
And you get it.
I do. I get front row
does
parking
get
everywhere
it.
I go. I do.
She does get it.
It just so there's just like some favorite things I'll create, right? So my car is always safe. I mean, I'm always protected, you know, in my vehicle. So I kind of have these this kind of a constant little thing. But I do feel like we can create that too. Like there's like a routine thing we do. But I do think prayer works. So there's studies that have been done in hospitals and stuff where people do experience the power of prayer. So in a way, it's kind of like a prayer, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is once you surrender yourself to that there is an energy that can help create things for you. You're working with the life force. You're working with Creator, is what I'll call it.
You know, a little game that I play every day, and it can be anything. Like really, it can be anything. But I will say, universe, show me owls and what's my new owls and butterflies.
Oh, wow.
And so throughout my day, I'm not looking for them. Like I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, let me go on my phone and try to find one. That's not what I'm talking about. But how
support
things
you.
show up in my day.
Yeah.
You know, and then that reminds me I'm in alignment. Like I'm working with the force here. This is what I want. This is the fun. This is the journey. Right? Hey, we actually do one-on-one
Manifesting coaching. That's right.
Yeah. So if you would like to learn how to apply these things into your life, or you know, help out your relationship, or whatever it might be, Camille and I do that. So you can go to our website at startingoverseries.com, and it'll give you all the information there that if you want to book some time. But we appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Starting Over with Gretchen and Camille. We'll be back next time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.